Hi, um, this is a part of a series for HISD resources for parents while they work with their children at home. And today's subject is autism, strategies to use in the home. We hope these are helpful to you in the coming weeks. So just to introduce what we'll cover in this video is what is autism? Autism is a complex condition in which no two individuals are the same, but one common factor is that our students are children, and autism is just part of who they are. In autism, a person's body senses may be out of sync. Communication may be atypical, so they may communicate through their body language, facial expressions, or actually talking. In autism, the person may be a concrete thinker. So abstract things are hard for them sometimes to understand without some explanation. Another feature might be that they're more visually oriented. So this helps them process information, their visual system. And also there may be triggers in the environment that start a meltdown. And social interactions may need to be taught. So you as a parent know your child the best. You may know the triggers that they have, and you may also know that you have to teach them to interact. And always keep in mind that we all have a unique set of needs that when met allows us to perform at our best. So if it's very cold in a room, it's hard to pay attention. And if somebody can turn the chill down, it helps us concentrate. Your child is the same. So just keep that in mind, that we all have a set of unique needs that, if they're met, allows us to perform at our best. So today we're going to address some frequently used strategies to support students with autism, to increase their attention to task and to provide some calming sensory input. These strategies often overlap and provide support for both attention and calming. So just keep that in mind. The strategies are common and are utilized by most of us, and that's important to keep in mind, that we all have things in our environment that we need to have in place before we can perform at our best. We all take breaks. We all like to move around a bit between tasks. Some of us chew gum. Some of us have a snack that's crunchy or just to help us keep awake. Some of us may wrap up in a blanket when we've had a hard day. And some of us have preferences about how our clothing fits. Some of us like loose clothing. Some of us like tight clothing. It's all individualized. Sometimes the strategies that we're going to propose are not feasible for our students in a school environment unless they can be carried out without being disruptive in a classroom environment. For example, sometimes children like to stand at a desk to write. They just perform better that way. And sometimes that is disruptive in the classroom environment. Often teachers will allow the student to do it at the back of the room so it doesn't disrupt the class. However, in the home environment, these strategies may be easier to implement. There's more flexibility in the home to provide these strategies and implement these modifications. These are only suggested strategies, and as a parent, you know what strategies may work for your child or actually may be disruptive. So don't take this as a blanket recommendation, but rather as suggestions that you can think about how that might fit with your particular child. So there are strategies that will increase visual attention or just increase attention in general. One of these is a visual schedule. As you can see, we have an example here. Visual schedules provide a source of reference for what comes next. Most of us like to know what comes next. It offers the student a sense of predictability and a structure that defines the beginning and the end of a specific task. Again, this is things that we all like to have. So the next slide, Norma is going to take over at this point. Hi, Norma.
Hi, Becky. How are you?
Good.
Okay, so students know they need to work on a writing task for 10 minutes. They can engage in preferred tasks for 5 minutes, such as a computer game, then more motivated to engage in the required task. And you can have that as in a visual schedule, and that way they can point or they can check off that they have done their work, and it allows them to see the actual schedule instead of just telling the student, hey, do this, but they can actually see it on their visual schedule board. So a finished box, a box that the student uses to place objects used in a task when the task is completed. This gives them a sense of completion. So you just get any type of box. It could be a shoe box. It could be just a box they can put their work in, and that way it shows it's completed and they don't have to worry about it, and they can move on to the next task. So attention strategies, seating, and options. There's a lot of autism kids that are they're just everywhere, and sometimes they have problems sitting down and paying attention. So students often prefer seating or a position from which they like to perform their tasks. Some seating options increase their attention, such as rocking chairs, standing at a table, lying on their tummy, and that's all a lot of sensory seeking, but they need that sensory. While this may seem out of the ordinary, when you really think about it, we all have preferences and use them when it is possible. Allowing students to choose their position gives them some control of their body, which likely helps improve performance in the classroom, or it can also help at home as well. So attention strategies and movement breaks. During this class, the student is always very busy, and sometimes some of these autistic children need movement breaks. This allows the student to get up and walk and go outside for a brief period, usually helps them attend better to a task. And there's also a lot of different types of YouTube videos that gives them movement breaks. I know one is Go Noodle, and it gives the student or the child just a better awareness in movement. So the next is Erica. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Norma. Thank you. So a continuation of strategies, meaningful content. Meaningful content increases attention for all of us. For example, if someone really likes cars and the content is about cars, we can attend to better the content. And that's what all of us. If I really like gardening and there are gardening tools and seeds, well, then I'm gonna focus more because that's something I like to do. And you can do the same with your child. Also, you can choose books or materials that highlight something they love and activities that your child has more success in performing. Additional attention strategies, task analysis. Break up activities into smaller, more manageable parts. Each step of the task can be a task in and of itself. For example, if your child has an assignment to write about a boat ride, here's an example of how to break that down into a task analysis. Number 1, the child can read the book. Number 2, the child can write the title, then take a break. And that may be a 5 or a 10-minute break, and you come back to that task. Then you can have the child write a short sentence about the story, introduction. Then you might take another break. And then when they come back, they can write another sentence about the story. And that's how you get that task completed. You just break it down into short sequences, steps. Structure. Structure provides a child with predictability. Predictability reduces anxiety and can help your child succeed. You can support your child by reminding him of the schedule, pretend to do the task yourself as an example, saying the next step out loud, singing songs with directions, or cueing the next step. Another example for attention strategies are timers, and we often use these timers in schools. Timers provide a visual prompt to let the child know there's a specific time that they have to do a certain task, a preferred task or a non-preferred task, and it gives them the ability to know that there's a limit on what they're doing. Strategies. Another way for attention strategies is to create a reward system. A reward system gives children something to look forward to after a hard day of work. Rewards can be redeemed daily and can be as simple as a game, a special snack, or deciding what the family will have for dinner or a movie to watch. You can involve the child in deciding what the reward system will be, or you can decide based on knowledge of your child's preferences. Next, we'll have Christine.
Heavy lap pad or objects. Another strategy is using a heavy stuffed animal, blanket, or a pillowcase filled with rice or beans. The weight on the lap will help the child stay calm due to deep pressure input. Proprioception is why hugs feel calming. It is the input that the people accept and enjoy. Snuggly objects. Some children prefer to have a snuggly object or wrap themselves in a blanket. This is also very calming to our nervous system. Wearing tight or loose clothing. Wearing tight or loose clothing depends on your child's preferences. They may prefer tight clothing, which provides deep pressure and may provide a calming input to the nervous system. Another way of reducing anxiety is to cut the tags off at the back of a child's clothing. Small enclosed rest areas. You can use a blanket fort or a child-sized tent if you have one. Also, you can create a small space in your home that's only for your child using a bookcase, a large chair, or under a table. Many children enjoy having a small space that they can go to unwind, to read, or play with their toys. And the next presenter is Eric.
Thank you, Christine. So following along, continuing with strategies and suggestions, I think Becky said some good information at the beginning. These are just ideas that you can do a trial and error. Some of these really won't be able to be used at school because they may be disruptive, but a lot of these may be possible at home just because, you know, there's a little bit less going on. We hope so, at least. But another idea for this is fidget, or, you know, just any sort of like item that you can have in your hand. Make sure that it's not too small because it can be a choke hazard. But anything that can be small or a child can hold in their hands can be a fidget, and that just allows them to have something to kind of focus their mind on. So for example, think of, sometimes I know that people who present, they like to put a paper clip in their hand, and that paper clip, they kind of just have it there as a reminder. Oh, okay, I have something here in my hand, just focus on that, instead of focusing on maybe all the things that are happening around you. So that may help a child if they have a fidget. You know, obviously if it becomes disruptive or they're just too focused on the fidget, then that may be something to change, just because we definitely want the child to be focused, but not too focused on the actual item that is at hand. Another thing that you can, or some more information on suggestions, is regards oral input. So in this case, eating or chewing food. Sometimes certain foods have resistance to them. So for example, chewing gum, you know, that has a lot of resistance. And I think we mentioned it a little bit earlier before. I know that for me, sometimes if I'm sleepy, if I decide that I want to just kind of wake up a little bit and maybe I don't want coffee or anything of that sort, if I put in, if I start chewing some gum, that'll kind of wake me up. And the reason for that is that our system, it's thought that our system, our nervous system, starts to become more organized and attentive. So that's something not only for your child, but maybe even, you know, for us adults to remember that there are certain things that we do that help us to function better in this world. So stretches, yoga poses, this kind of shoots off from what Norma had mentioned earlier about Go Noodle. There's some other information out there or resources, or even just, you know, if you are into yoga or if you're into stretching, sometimes just including your child in that activity can help the child to become relaxed. I know that when I exercise, I don't necessarily do yoga and that sort, but when I do exercise, after I'm done with the exercise, I feel a bit more relaxed, a bit more calm, a bit more focused, just more energy. So this is something that you can incorporate with your child, and that can help them to relax and then be ready for the next activity. So as we see here in this photo, there is a child here with a few books, and one of the things that we can sometimes suggest is that to give a child certain tasks to organize their body, to relax their body. One of the ways to do that is to have them transport items, and not just for the sake of it, but rather just to you know, make it meaningful. But maybe at home, you know, if a child is just very very inattentive, maybe you can ask him or her to take his or her chair from the kitchen to the living room so that they can sit at the desk there. And just even that little activity may kind of help them to refocus on their body and to then have a relaxed input. So again, a chair, or it could be maybe they're helping you around in the kitchen. And as long as, you know, it's safe, maybe they can hold on to a pot and then maybe transport it from one end to another end. It doesn't have to be anything very, very heavy, but it should be something that's going to give them some input so that they can feel relaxed. So just think of, again, you know, think of different things that you may have at home. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just, you know, a chair, even some books like we have here on this picture. Just look to see what you have in your house, and then from there on, incorporate those things if you feel that that's something that can benefit your child. And then finally, also, Becky also alluded to this at the beginning with the AC idea, where, you know, even for us, if it's too cold, I know for me, like if it's too cold, I can't focus. I start to just think about, oh, I'm really cold. I start getting chills. I start getting, you know, like antsy, and maybe I want to walk around, and I'm not going to be focused on the task at hand. So remember to adapt the sensory or adapt the environment. You know, sensory has become a really buzzword, but it really just means, you know, just the environment that surrounds us. So just think about and pay attention to the types of likes and dislikes that your child has regarding the environment. So, you know, we give you guys some ideas here. If it's too loud at home in terms of like having the TV or the radio, or there's a lot of other kids in the home, maybe maybe helping the child to move to a different space, or maybe some headphones, or maybe asking the other children to lower their volume, or to maybe for them to go to a different room. Again, you know, with the example for the AC, turning it either lower or higher. In school, there's fluorescent lights. I'm not sure if you guys have fluorescent lights at home, but if maybe it's too bright at home, maybe just dimming the lights if you have that ability at home, or maybe turning them off, opening the window, where you get maybe some more natural light. You know, just give you some. We just give you some more ideas here. Like, for example, if maybe scents calm a child, maybe using lavender. We don't want to maybe use too much, because then they may get sleepy. But I think, you know, just again, these are just ideas that we can give you guys. But just the main thing to take away from this is to remember that the environment is a huge part and a huge factor in how children, especially, you know, adults, children with autism, how the environment really affects the way that children may act or may do things. So just remember that, if nothing else, remember that the sensory environment is a really important piece. So just pay attention to the types of things that may be at home. And once you start seeing a pattern, you'll start to realize, oh, maybe I need to do this differently, or maybe I need to take this away, to just help the child to succeed. So we hope that this information, all this information, gave you some good ideas. Again, here at Houston ISD, we as the occupational therapy department, we are continuing to do some different types of topics that you may be interested in. We hope that these serve you well. Also know that if you have a family member, or, you know, a friend who would benefit from these videos, let them know about it. We also started some topics in Spanish. So on our Google site, make sure that you check those out if you are Spanish speaking, or if you know of someone who may benefit. So just remember that we're going to continue working hard for you guys. We hope that you guys enjoy this presentation. And again, this presentation was created by Rebecca Allen, Erica Vermillion Neal, Norma Rocha, Christine Toledo, and myself. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.